Hey yo, welcome to our channel today. First story, Opie announces her pregnancy and her older sister demands an abortion or adoption. At 28F and currently 19 weeks pregnant. My partner, 29 meters. And I are very excited as this is our first baby and we have been trying for a few months. We announced the pregnancy a month ago at a dinner party we hosted and everyone seemed surprised and overjoyed. My sister, 35, whom I will call Kay, immediately burst into tears and asked me how I could do this to her. I stared at her and asked what. She started ranting, saying that I always got everything I wanted, which is not true. I worked hard for all that I have and that she knew I got pregnant just so I could rub her infertility in her face. She screamed at me for 5 minutes about how I didn't deserve to be a mother and that she should be the one pregnant right now. My parents left with her soon after, and the party was basically over. I was really disturbed by my sister's reaction because we had been pretty close before, and she had never done anything like this. Kay called me the next day apologizing for how she acted at my announcement and asking if we could meet up for coffee. I accepted. We met up, and she pretended as though nothing had happened. Then she started a big speech about her infertility, how heartbreaking it is to be growing life inside of her just to lose it, and how she had always wanted children of her own. She then proceeded to ask me if I could consider getting an abortion to make things fair or letting her adopt my baby. I stared at her and asked if she was serious. Kay said she was. I just dropped my part of the bill on the table and left. No. Kay's husband texted me a rant that night about how I'd made Kay cry and how all they wanted was to be parents, and that this meant so much to them, and that I owed them for being more successful than them. I and my partner invested many years into our jobs, and we have worked very hard to earn what we earn now. I told him that my partner and I had been hoping for kids too, and that I was not giving up my baby. He hummed up. She later sent me a long letter, 4 pages, about how she had always wanted to be a mother, and whether I should consider either abortion or letting her adopt my baby, how I should care about my older sister's happiness, how she would make a better mom, how the oldest kid should have the first grandchild, and how I could always just have another baby since it was so easy for me to conceive. After that, she quieted down some, and I thought we were done with this. Except it wasn't. She had posted my sonogram on her Facebook page and captioned it, "Elle and I are expecting. We can't wait to meet our little princess." I was seeing red. I texted her and demanded she take the post down. No reply. I texted Elle, no reply. So I called my mother and told her what happened. She was able to make Kay take the post down. Luckily enough, Kay has called me petty for calling my mom and has continued to demand I'd give up my baby. I sent her a letter explaining that I had had enough of her nonsense, that I was keeping my baby, and that I recommended she get some help. I added that if she continues, I will not hesitate to call 999. This weekend, however, was the absolute last straw. My mom and dad have the spare key to my house. While she was over at their house for brunch, she took the key while my partner and I were at work. She broke into our house and stole all the clothing, blankets, nappies, bottles, and pretty much any other item we had bought for the baby except furniture. It was later returned after my mom found it in her car. I called 999, but they told me I couldn't do anything because I had no proof and because it was all returned. My partner and I are moving in April, but I'm still scared my sister will find out where we live and take my child. I get that she's upset and jealous due to her infertility, but that shouldn't mean I have to give up my baby. My parents know about this, and they have been doing their best to get her some help. She doesn't want to adopt because she wants a child that's her own flesh and blood. I'm in August and the stress she's causing cannot and will not be good for me or the baby. My partner is looking into a cease and desist letter. Is there anything else I should do or say? I'm scared for my baby. Update added as an edit 6 days later. The support I've received from this website is overwhelming. Thank you all for your comments. Although I couldn't reply to all of them, they are appreciated. We have had the locks changed, cameras installed, and a Ring doorbell. I started saving every letter and screenshotting every message my sister has sent, and I plan to take them to court for a restraining order very soon. We have also been seriously documenting everything. My husband and I are planning a trip to Ireland for our anniversary next week, and it's going to be good to clear our heads from my sister. I've called 999 to report her for harassment, and they gave her a warning. She's contacted me saying that if I won't give her my child, I can at least pay for multiple rounds of IVF, which I have not replied to other than refusing. She's been begging my parents to convince me to give up my baby, which they refuse to do. They have also been given a statement that basically says that if they give her my contact information, they will not see my baby, to which they have agreed. I've since changed my phone number and we are moving very soon. My sister does not know our new address. She actually stood on our stoop for 20 minutes a few days ago, banging on our door and yelling. My husband opened a window and told her that if she didn't leave, he would let the dog out, and he threatened to call the police. We have a rather small but hyper puppy who jumps on everyone and barks a lot, and she is quite scared of dogs, so this made her leave. I started working from home last week, as did my husband, and we followed the advice of one of the comments, washed all of the baby stuff, and made sure none of the food in our kitchen was messed with. None was, luckily. We are planning on getting a restraining order as soon as possible and are looking forward to our trip. I'm already sick of being pregnant, and I'm not even in the 3rd trimester. I just want my baby. Thank you all again for your wonderful advice, and I may update you again when the baby is born. Second story. The wife's side of the family made OP's son believe that OP, his dad, had abandoned him, but OP didn't even know he had a son. Judging by the age, I'm guessing you all know how young I was when he was born. His mom, my ex, and I've been best friends since we were in kindergarten. She was the love of my life. We were together from 5th grade up until our sophomore year. Her family just made us stop having contact. They'd moved. For the longest time, I wondered why, but now I know my answer. In the beginning of June, I'm sent a text from an unknown number. You don't know me, but after a long message, he tells me he's my son, and he wanted me to know. He graduated from high school and got accepted into college, and thanks to me, he just wanted me to know that he managed to do it without his deadbeat father. I have my cell on my Facebook page and stuff, so he probably got it from there. So part of me was thinking this had to be a prank, but he mentioned my ex. I had to call him and ask to meet up. He at least agreed. I was nervous meeting him, but he seemed to hate me. It was very emotional for me, because I saw so much of my ex in him and also in me, and I never had a clue. My ex passed when he was 2. Her parents told him I wanted no involvement in his life, but I was never even told of his existence. I would have been around if I knew I got her pregnant. He didn't believe me, and he thinks I'm just trying to cover my ass. That's not it, but he seems to think so. They want to tell him I broke up with her when she told me she wanted nothing to do with him, as a way to convince him he doesn't need a dad like me in his life. My son left the park where we met still not believing me. He was really upset. What stung the most was the hate on his face, the way he was looking like I'm the biggest piece of shit on the planet. I'm crushed. I told him I wanted to know more about him and be in his life, and I absolutely would have if I'd known. He doesn't seem to want anything to do with me. They've said too much against me. How do I get him to see that I'm telling the truth? I'm heartbroken over this. I never wanted him to think he was unwanted his whole life. Is there any way to convince him? I don't know anything about him, or what do I do to navigate things with him? Update. Honestly, I wasn't sure about posting this. It's been a very emotional ordeal, and I'm not usually one to post such personal things online, but you all helped a lot, and if it hadn't been for your suggestions, I'd probably still be lost. Well, more lost than I still am right now. I decided to go ahead and find some way to prove things happened the way they did. Old friends of hers from school and family. At least he'd know the real truth, not just my word against theirs. It took some time, but I actually managed to find and get in touch with my ex's older sister. She wasn't as open to meeting me. I practically had to beg her to at least give me a half hour. Not only was my son told that I bailed on him, but she was told too. Not by my ex though, their parents. I explained my side of it. It didn't seem like she believed me. The thing is, she was already across the country in college, so she was only told what happened. I thought I had hit a dead end with her. Only she calls me days later crying. This is where it gets personal. My ex passed away because she was depressed and well, she did something. She left letters for everyone, their parents, my son, And apparently me only, they never gave it to me, obviously. She kept it, but again, she thought I was a deadbeat and felt I didn't deserve my ex's last words. She apologized for that. Our meeting sparked interest, and she decided after all that time to read what my ex wrote to me. She felt weird about reading it before because my ex intended it to be only for me, so to her it seemed like it might be disrespectful, but she went ahead and read it. All of it was there, her apologies for never telling me the truth and letting her parents make this decision to keep me from him. There are many other personal things that I'd rather not get into here. Her sister came over with the letter. I finally got to read it, and it hit me so hard instantly. I think it's the first time since this came out that I really acknowledged the fact that I lost her. Her sister agreed to talk to my son alone. It's all out there now. He called me that same week to ask if we could talk, and he was here at my place. I could tell this was hard on him just by how he still looked angry at me, but he was pretty emotional too. I just told him how sorry I was for not being there. He deserved the father, and I couldn't be that when he needed it, and like I told him before, I'm open to being whatever he'd like me to be in his life. After a while, we wound up on the topic of his mom that I was able to freely talk about for hours. He was very curious about that. I took out old pictures and everything. The first conversation we had was without any hostility or tension. I did break down a few times talking about her, but he seemed to understand. He came over around 9, and it was past midnight by the time we looked at the clock. My son hasn't said anything about what he'd like from our relationship, but he says we can keep talking. I know it's going to take a lot of time, and he's not in the best place right now, mentally or emotionally, from what her sister told me. He really went off on her parents. Well, they both did. Right now, he's staying with a friend, and she's helping him look for his own place. He's got so much going on, so following everyone's advice here, give him all the time and space he needs. I'm ready to be there for him whenever he needs me, and he at least seems open to it. We have only talked a few more times since, still a bit short with me. Not as angry as he was before, at least. He knows the truth now, and that's the most important step. It's a bit conflicting because I'm happy that he believes me and gives us the opportunity to talk, but also sad that his whole world is a mess right now and he's trying to deal with it. Sorry for the long post. I know it's quite a bit, but it's so much that's happened in such a short period. It's not perfect. I don't think it'll ever be. He knows now that he was lied to, and we're talking little by little, all I really hoped for. Thank you, Reddit, for this support. I'll definitely be following your advice, as some of you gave some really good ones. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of our journey. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed our story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. We appreciate each and every one of you for being with us on this adventure. Stay tuned for more amazing stories and updates. Your support keeps us going, and we're grateful to have such an awesome community. Thank you, and see you in the next video.